Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining. I have been compelled to do a reading after a long hiatus from doing any kind of YouTube tarot channel reading stuffy. And I've decided to look into the situation that's unfolding in the Middle East. And what we have noticed is that there is a lot of chaos erupting due to the ongoing conflict between Israel, Iran, the United States, and other powers in the region, as well as great powers who may be dragged into the situation. I'm going to attempt to read this and see what the likely outcome is going to be of the entire, ordeal, because we are now faced with a very trying and serious time, and I just want to make sure that, you know, hopefully this de-escalates to a degree. Hopefully it will, if other great powers decide to get involved. If not, prepare for World War III. That said, I'm not really going to do any intro or all that shit because I just want to go ahead and get into the reading. I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste mine. But I've been nudged and prodded to do this reading due to the events that took place today. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, where is the United States position? Okay. What is Israel's position? What is Iran's position? Now, so what we have here, we've got a bit of a story developing here. This is going to be a very wild ride, so follow me if you can. I'll try not to knock over the stands, the reason why I had to do this reading all over again. Right now, what we have at the bottom of the deck is the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. No one is willing to compromise or to engage one another. They're also unwilling to look at the previous investments they've had within the international order or even the economic order that has, proceeded up until now. People are basically just saying, no, we're done. I'm tired of investing in any kind of peace and negotiations. And yeah, gloves are coming off. So what we have here with the United States current position is we have the Seven of Cups. And that means that they basically have a lot of options that they're choosing from, a lot of strategies that they're devising, but there could also be a level of confusion within the entire reading that could potentially, you know, I don't really think that they know exactly what they're doing. They may be trying to strategize at the current moment only because the situation has taken them so far aback in the whole conflict. And I don't think that they have a cogent strategy. So what they're doing right now is they're trying to brainstorm up and trying to think about some ideas that they could foot for not only keeping a sense of order under their own personal control, but trying their best to make sure that they appear as the dominant power and that they are able to win this war. And they do have to convince a lot of the world that. I think many people are going to also be left in a state of confusion along with the government about how best to proceed because they have been dragged imminently into this conflict between Israel and Iran, and Israel knows that what it's done has essentially erupted this whole situation. The reason why I say that is because we have the Nine of Pentacles in the reverse for Israel's position. And what that shows is that there is a level of codependency that the country has on allowing itself to advance as far as it has. It would not be able to get as far as it did if it didn't have 3.5 billion coming from the United States every year, if it didn't have certain allies that would be willing to back them up in a war. If everyone else were to say, we're going to back off from this, and it was just a war between Israel and Iran, I think Israel would lose 100%. And the reason being is that they're wholly reliant on the international community to prop up the, not only the government in a PR situation in the news and media, but additionally with financial support. And this is specifically dealing with finances here and economic justifications for that support, in addition to the weapons and other kinds of things that are given to the country each and every year, for the US. I guess that would be mandatory spending, could be a part of discretionary spending, but we'll see. Um, in Iran's situation, we have the King of Pentacles in the reverse. This can mean one of two things. Either A, it could be a situation where they feel they may not have the resources to pull off this war, but they are going to make it happen anyway. Furthermore, it could also show a person unwilling to compromise, being utterly stubborn, and being unrelenting in their attacks. Now, when you see the antlers here, normally in the upright position, the King of Pentacles would be a person who's studious, working to build things, foundations. I see in this particular situation where they just want to burn everything to the ground. This is the opposite of someone who builds a solid, steady foundation for everything. I think they want to take the entire Middle East and set it on fire because they have been dealing with this for too long. Their anger is pent up. And because this card is also connected to cards such as the, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, specifically Taurus, when a person is in their Taurian rage, as I call it, because I am a Taurus myself, and I can count the number of times I've actually blown up at someone, gotten really angry. I can count them on one hand because it's that dangerous when it takes place. Now, say, for example, a country like Iran, which has allowed for its anger to bottle up and fester due to international sanctions, treatment of different other groups within the Levant, um, treatment from Israel, treatment from other countries, treatment from other neighbors, a lack of support from other neighbors, and so on. It looks at its surroundings, and what it says to the international community is like, get fucked, is basically all it's saying. It's like, okay, no one's going to come to our help. No one's going to listen to us. We are now being set up for an attack. We have been preparing for this for a long time. We have been monitoring the situation for a long time. And so we're going to strike out exactly the way we want to do it. And if you're not going to give us the stability, we're not going to reciprocate that, and we're going to actually tear that foundation apart. I'm going to pull a few cards from here just to see exactly how we can clarify each of these situations. Clarify the United States. Clarify Israel. Clarify once more. Okay. So, oh God. And clarify Iran. I think I know what that card was that just popped out, and that's a bad sign for other people. Oh God. Fucking God. Yeah. So, these are the cards that popped out for Iran. Um, so remember when I said that they wanted to burn everything to the ground? They are willing to put an end to this entire situation. Um, so here's what's going on with the United States position. We're going to start with that. We have the Queen of Wands and the Five of Wands in the reverse. So firepower, if you want to call it that. But of course, with the foundation of this being the Seven of Cups, we do notice that they are basically being left in disarray, and they do not have a solid movement forward in this particular conflict. With the Queen of Wands and the Five of Wands in the reverse, this is the person who wants to come off as confident and seemingly, they want to take control of the situation. They want to say to the international community, we've got a hold of this. If you do this, there are going to be repercussions, yada, yada, yada. Five of Wands in the reverse, it means that number one, they're not going to be willing to fight this long term. And number two, they're actually not wanting a fight because they have domestic issues that they have to face at home. Five of Wands in the reverse is the opposite of wanting conflict. It's wanting to put the conflict to rest. I think potentially if that was the situation with, President Trump, then he wanted to just work out an Iran deal. However, that is not going to be the case now that things have been set into motion. And given the long track record of fighting wars, and historically since World War II, there haven't been really any real victories in the United States. I mean, the war in Afghanistan did replace the Taliban with the Taliban. Korean War ended in an armistice. The war is still ongoing. The Vietnam War was a complete loss, and the Viet Cong did take over. And now, in the war in Iraq, that led to an absolute disaster, which gave rise to, of course, Islamic State. And we're not going to go too far into the political side of it, but what we know is that I don't think that this is going to be a good intervention for the United States to get involved in, given the fact that from reports that I've seen, there are sleeper cells across regions of places that could potentially activate in the event that they want to fight an asymmetrical war. That is going to be absolutely nightmarish for any US involvement. And I think that they see that. They want to stand strong and look strong for Israel and their allies in the Persian Gulf. But this could spell disaster if it's not executed properly, which I do not see it actually taking place. This is going to be a real test. This is going to be a test on terra firma for the US government to demonstrate its capabilities under a new administration. Going into the next bit here, with Israel being Nine of Pentacles in the reverse, we have not one, two, but three major arcana cards in the reverse. And that is a very bad sign for Israel, in the sense that we have the Strength in the reverse. They're going to lose steam very, very quickly. They do not have the armaments, the training to fight a protracted war under the Netanyahu administration. When they become surrounded, we've already seen that the Iron Dome defense systems that are supposed to provide air support over Tel Aviv and other parts of the country were completely useless, especially against the new hypersonic missiles from Iran, and that has depleted a lot of their stocks, probably depleted a lot of their armaments as well. We have the Temperance in the reverse as well, which talks a lot about being highly unstable. And with this also kind of losing patience and anger. So you're going to see a lot of instability in Israel as this war goes on, because they have not fought a war since, of course, the Arab-Israeli war, Yom Kippur War, and all of that. I think they were a bit more, better suited for conflicts at that time. But with the advancement of military capabilities, especially coming from Iran, that they do have hypersonic missiles, and they have demonstrated those against Iron Dome defense systems, the only way they're going to survive this is having the United States and others step in. But Judgment in the reverse, that is going to mean that decisively, what I see, The only thing that comes to my mind is this is going to end very poorly for the country. They will not get the decisive victory that they want, and I think they have bitten off more than they can chew. That is the other expression that is coming to my mind. Um, I think that they should pay attention to the way that they are conducting themselves now that they are no longer sitting and attacking. They have been able to go after members of Hezbollah. They've been able to go after members of Hamas, but in a large-scale military conflict against a great power like Iran, which essentially is a regional power. This is not going to bode very well. The last war that took place was in Iraq. Iraq's military is not that strong, according to military analysts. Iran's military, much more so. And Afghanistan, we've all seen what that took, what happened in that situation that took place over the last 20 years. 3 trillion was thrown against that, and a group of supposed goat herders um, destroyed the world's most advanced military. So we're not even going to get into that conversation. But what I can say is that against a major organized military conflict coming from Iran, this Israel is going to be completely, what's the best word that I can say for it? Um, it's going to destroy the country. It's going to destroy the country. Um, and it will lead to a long-term protracted war, which I can see here. But that judgment in the reverse is like, this is going to go on for ages. Judgment normally is a decisive calling, which talks about someone who is being not only resurrected to live a second life that is prosperous more than the other one. I see them as being thrown into the coffin. And I'm going to need to stress this in this reading. With the King of Pentacles in the reverse, the Tower, and Death coming out, there is no better indication of a country that is willing to die for what it's about to do. The Tower, I was expressively stating that Iran is willing to destroy the foundation of the Middle East until there is justice for its country. So we have the Tower and we have Death. It's going to start off explosively, no pun intended, and it's just going to go into a long death spiral. Whether that is for Iran, the country itself, or the war of what Iran is thinking about trying to do. But because these cards are highlighting the actions these countries are taking, for example, with the United States, we have the Queen of Wands, Five of Wands in the reverse. That is how they are approaching it. With this is how Israel will approach it. With Iran approaching it with the Tower and the Death, you can assuringly know that this is going to end badly for the people who have aggressed against the country. I'm going to pull one more card just to kind of highlight what's going on. Clarify Iran one more time. Clarify once more. So we have clarifying Iran, 4 of Pentacles in the reverse versus 6 of Pentacles, and 6 of Pentacles. In addition to this death wish that has now been opened at a Pandora's box from this entire situation, we have the 4 of Pentacles, which means that it is completely giving up or letting go of previous things that it has held on to. And with the 6 of Pentacles, it is going to reach out to allies. We've already seen that happen with the Iranian defense, defense minister, if I'm not mistaken, is Aranchi or whatever. he did reach out to Putin. I think he's going to now start building ties. That is the Six of Pentacles there, giving and taking, in order to create these new kind of fellowships. It is also, well, not new fellowship, it's quite an old relationship they have to Russia and China and other countries anyway. They are members of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, or at least observant members. Additionally, you have the card here showing two threes. So it's three black pentacles, three white pentacles. And that was the grand chessboard that we were talking about before. And the pieces are now being aligned in a way in which we can see that alliances are being struck. And, you know, you have Iran kind of building because it knows that it, you know, its strength lies in its ability to form strong relationships to people who can back them up in the long term. Whereas with Israel, there were many countries that supported them. Its approach to the entire war or the military conflict is going to be very scattered, very inconsistent, stop and go. It's not going to go well. And this Netanyahu administration is going to suffer because of that, because its approach to military conflict and engagement outside of its country cannot withstand a long-term protracted war such as this. I'm going to just go ahead and pull some, yeah, because I have Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. This is going to last a long time. It's going to get just stuck. I'm going to pull a card from a new Kipper deck that I had received. This is the card that has popped out. I shit you not. It has false person. And what we see in this deck, we have this woman here who is manipulating this man, this smaller man, like a marionette. Whether that is, if I don't want to say it because I don't want to sound like an asshole or anything, but whoever is the manipulative party, whether that's the United States against Israel, you know, with Israel or Israel with the United States, it's almost like they're being strung along, pulled into this whole entire conflict, literally being pulled into this conflict and waiting for that window of opportunity, which you see the window there outside. And I can definitely say this is going to drag a lot of people into this conflict because what's going to take place is it's going to need to be that way in order for these powers to sustain themselves. We also have here a rich man. This means that they're going to rely on the support of wealthy nations that can help back them up, provide military assistance and support, financial assistance and backing, strategic logistics, and what else? We got high honors. So, as I said, this is going to drag in a lot of people from larger militaries, great powers around the world, Russia, China, the United States, the UK, France, Germany. This is, yeah. I don't really know what else to say about it other than the fact that hold on to your hats. This is going to get big very quickly. The Middle East is going to be destabilized. And I do not see Iran relenting under any circumstances because they've tried peace. They're now giving that peace up. The things that they were holding on to before, because before the Four of Pentacles, we have the Three of Pentacles, which was working for negotiations, which they were doing with the IAEA, the International Energy Atomic Agency, and the United States and other countries. They were speaking to if I'm not mistaken, the UK and France and others to talk about their nuclear program. When they were struck, they're like, fuck this. That's the Four of Pentacles in the reverse. Letting go, getting new alliances struck, and from hell or high water, they're not going to rest until the enemy is destroyed. Um, that is the reading for today. I'm going to leave it at that. Um, I'm sorry if I seem like I'm a bit out of it, but felt like I was being pulled in to read about this, and of course, this does kind of bring me to back to my vocation, back to my calling. You know, I'll explain a little bit more in a later post, but for now, this is what we're going to talk about. And until then, thank you very much, and love and light.